Hello students, this is a video tutorial of the instructions for step 3 of your demographic transition model project. So step 3 will prepare you for step 4, just as step 1 and 2 have prepared you for this step. So this step will ask you to compare two different countries who at the time were in two different stages. So for example, you would have, I don't know, let's say the US and Germany. There's the two major players in World War II, and that's the time period that you'll use. And you'll see the difference between the impact it would have on one event. So it's the same event, and the impact it would have on two different countries. So the single event, and yet it would have a different impact on two different countries who were in two different stages. And you're going to analyze the specific impacts that the war had on those two countries. So again, to compare two countries of your choice, roughly at the time of World War II. Now I put 1935 to 1955 to account for pre- and post-war impacts. And I did this because simply put, like, even though the fighting was from 1939 to 1945, there were pre-war impacts, basically countries preparing for war that would have an effect on the demographic transition model. So that's why I chose a few years earlier, a few years later. And if you need to adjust that a little bit, you can, and that's flexible. So you say within a 20 to 30 year period of World War II. And so that's the time period, that's the event that we're going to check out and see what impacts it had to the demographic, to the population pyramids. One country must be from stage 1 and the other from stage 3. So I don't think maybe Germany and the US wouldn't quite work for that particular, for this particular assignment. They may have been in the same stage. But you're going to compare their pyramids between the time of the war, which is roughly 1935 to 1955, and then now. So whatever the most current data available is, usually it's 2010, but you may see some more updated data. And you're going to analyze the differences between the two countries as it relates to the World War II impacts. So look at the different age groups, look to see how they were impacted, what kind of impact you can see 70, 80 years later, right? Compared, between the two time periods. You will probably need to do a little bit of historical research just for your own context and to fully understand the situation. So I would expect that it's okay to use, additional sources outside of the population pyramids. You need a clearer picture so you can use other sources. Lastly here, the objective here is to identify the specific impacts that one event, which is World War II, and had one event that had on two different countries within their respective stages, as I mentioned before. You will use this information in step 4, which I will give to you later, to predict the impacts of COVID-19. So essentially what I want you to do is compare. I want you to look at a country and see how one event impacted that country's demographics. That will help you prepare to predict what will happen from COVID-19. So you look at all the data from a country right now and say, okay, here's what I think is going to happen, and be able to explain that. That's step 4. So we'll get there, but this is step 3. So you're comparing two countries within their respective stages, stage 1 and 3, and the impact of a major event, World War II, and the impacts that World War II had on those two countries. Email me if you have questions. I will keep the Zoom open. Actually, I'll keep Google Meet open. It's easier. I'll put Google Meet link along with this and the Google post. So you can just pop into the Google Meet, ask a question, leave again. But I'll keep it open for you guys. So I'm available the whole hour or 45 minutes, okay? Good luck with it, and I hope this makes sense to you guys. But of course, I'm here to help if you have any questions. All right, good luck, guys.